succeeding in that process. Then we revert to Section 216 of the Constitution, where all municipalities have received letters, the ones with unfunded budgets, during the last week, where they were clearly notified to say, you should be able to demonstrate that you are able to reduce your unfunded portion of the budget. You should be able to demonstrate that you can honor your current ESCOM account and your bulk suppliers accounts. You must be able to demonstrate to what extent your adjustment budget will be reduced. And if they fail to do that, we will then communicate from Provincial Treasury to National Treasury in recommending for them to invoke Section 216 of the Constitution, where the December tranche of the equitable share will then be withheld until the municipalities can demonstrate or provide proof that they've implemented such plans. That is the first part. When it comes to the financial recovery plan in itself, I have to apologize. My understanding of the presentation was different. I just gave a high-level overview of the financial status. For the 5 municipalities in the province that currently do have financial recovery plans, we monitor them vigorously on a monthly basis. Each municipality and the FRP have developed, per the strategy and the activities, a reporting framework, and they submit those reporting frameworks to us as Provincial Treasury, and I will be glad to make a formal submission to the committee of the progress reports to date. So we are monitoring the specific activities, and to support us with this, what we've done is to develop an impact assessment tool. Look at the benchmark. Where did we start? What was the baselines for each services when we look at revenue, whether it's property rates, electricity, water, whatever. November 2018, this was the baseline. We monitor then how that baseline are improving or what the status is. So that we have got in place, and we will gladly submit that. When we look into the responsibilities of Provincial Treasury, in Lekwa specifically, we are only providing a support role to National Treasury. For the implementation of the plan, 2 financial advisors were placed from National Treasury in the municipal space, and where there's then more support needed, they will escalate to us, and we will then come into the place. In the detailed presentation, I've made clear indication under the FRP part what support we did provide to the municipality. Some of those support, including then assessments of the budget, we developed for them a budget funding tool to utilize. We trained them on the budget funding tool. We developed a tariff setting tool to make sure that our cost of services are on par. We don't make a loss on those. And those are some of the support. On the assurance providers, we've also got a multidisciplinary team that support municipalities with disclaimed audit outcomes. And those multidisciplinary teams, consisting of all the functions of Provincial Treasury, from time to time then visit the municipality and support them specifically with audit-related issues. In this regard, I must indicate that for those municipalities, prior submission of the AFS to the AG, they make a submission to Provincial Treasury for a pre-assessment of the audit, and we then make strong recommendations to the municipality for consideration. From our side, we also sit in the audit steering committees to assist with the issues of interpretation as well as supporting the municipality with the responses to the AG. I want to indicate that under government of Governor Mbeki, my colleague have already addressed the issues. The issues in Governor Mbeki are similar than Emalahleni as well as in Lekwa, where we sit with severe distribution losses. If I look at Governor Mbeki, they started with a 70% distribution loss on electricity when we started with a financial recovery plan. The contributing factors are both technical as well as non-technical. From Provincial Treasury side, we concentrate on the non-technical aspects of the distribution losses. And through our involvement with National Treasury, we secured funding for about 18,000 meters in that municipality that was unmetered properties. So we believe that when that project has been concluded, we will see that we narrow the gap on the distribution losses, specifically on electricity, but then also other support. The same kind of support has been rolled out to Lekwa. Indicated in my presentation, we do the valuation roll reconciliation. We identified all the properties that's not currently on the billing system. We do a detailed study on the category of users, make sure that the ref tariffs apply for property rates. We do make sure that the right tariffs apply for services. And that will also assist us then to narrow the gap specifically on the distribution losses. And the Eskom-related issues pertaining to the escalation of the Eskom debt, Chair, through you, it is a serious worrying factor for us as well. We did involve NERSA as well as Eskom and the municipalities into a day-long session during the previous month to unpack all the issues that municipalities are blaming Eskom, Eskom are blaming the municipalities, and to have the same understanding what are the challenges we're really addressing. Issues like the NMD, issues like the costing to actually upgrade your supply from Eskom on your NMD demands. We're looking there also in issues pertaining to tariff setting. And that is a workshop that yielded a lot of results for us, and we will then further escalate that outcome of the report to the Deputy President's Electricity Forum to see whether we can make some contributions to address these issues. Out of that meeting, and through an Executive Council resolution, every municipality is encouraged and instructed to pay the current account without fail, so that we can reach a stage that we don't escalate on our debt, but we are consistent in paying our current accounts. And this is the biggest challenge we are achieving, is to assist municipality to reach that level of break even, at least to pay the current accounts. If we look at the tariff tool that we ran, the majority of our municipalities are providing services at a loss, unfortunately. And it's just not a matter of increasing the tariffs and overnight quick fix. It's a matter of making sure that all consumers are billed. And I think that's the baseline that we started from. And we foresee that in the near future, we will see a big improvement in that regard. Honorable Chair, I want to wrap up. I've indicated the issues of the unfunded budgets. I just wanted, there was a specific question pertaining to what is the Eskom debt for Lekwa. Lekwa's Eskom debt is currently standing at 1.742 billion rand. And that's the total asset, the last section 41 report that we've received from National Treasury. I think I've covered all. If I haven't covered, I stand to be corrected. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Auditor General's office.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think we captured just about 2 questions, I think from Honorable Member Mkhaliphi. The first one being, Auditor AG, you have teeth, when are you biting? And I just want to probably just give a background to answer this question, Honorable Mkhaliphi. And you are right, we have the powers to bite. We must start biting. It's a process. We applied a phased-in approach as an office to take on this responsibility. So we started at this municipality in the 2019-20 audit, and that is the year where when they received a disclaimer for the second time. After the audit, we reflected on what does this mean in terms of the citizens of Lekwa, in terms of this municipality itself. And that is when we decided, I would use your words, Honorable Member Mkhaliphi, we took our first bite. And we issued the first material irregularity to this municipality because of the outcomes, the audit outcomes that were a disclaimer. Now, a disclaimer by itself means that we were unable as auditors to verify what the municipality actually did with the funds that they were allocated. And that is because there was no audit trail. We were able to see that this is the money that came in, but in terms of spending that money, in terms of the support For us to be able to vouch that those transactions, we were not able. And I think that talks to your second question as well. So then we reflected on this and we said this is causing harm to this public institution. Hence, then we notified the accounting officer. Then there has been a lot of changes in the accounting officers during that period, as we all understand, because the municipality was going through the administration and the intervention. So accounting officers came and accounting officers went. So we had to, each time there was a change of the accounting officer would come and discuss the issue of the material irregularity, which was the first bite. And that was the overarching issue for us, because we're saying the municipality is struggling to account. You are not able to say, here's a transaction, here's a piece of paper that supports this transaction, and from there, as an auditor, I can make a conclusion to say, I'm comfortable with how you have spent the money, or I'm not comfortable, or this looks dodgy, as you put it, Honorable Mkhaliphi. So when we notify the accounting officer of this material irregularity, the accounting officer has got time. We need to provide the accounting officer time to respond. Because one of the things that we ask the accounting officer is, what is it that you are going to do to prevent or to address this material irregularity? In this case, this material irregularity is the disclaimer, where there is no sufficient audit evidence to support the transactions. How are you going to deal with this? How are you going to prevent this from happening going forward? And that happened during the time when the administration was also in place. Lucky enough, in responding to us, the accounting officer provided the financial recovery plan. We looked at this financial recovery plan, and I must say, Chairperson, we were comfortable with the design of this plan because it ticked a lot of, the right boxes, but it was too late for us during after the audit to have seen the implementation and therefore commented or assessed the effectiveness of that implementation. And it is only now in this audit that we are going through that process. And I think, honorable members, again, you raised a concern that there is nothing out of the presentations that we made today that reflects or that maps up nicely what was the plan. What was it supposed to achieve? Where is it in terms of implementation? So various parties are looking into that, but ours is to look at that plan that we were happy with the design. Now we are going to look at the progress on implementation, and we are going to see if we are happy with some, hopefully we'll be happy with some areas of it, but if we are not happy with that, and that is going to be part of our messaging, and that is to respond to the first bite that we took. We went again ahead and established that this municipality, because of its financial state or financial health, it was struggling to pay its service providers on time. And one of the of the creditors that were not paid on time, in this case, is SARS. We mentioned the pay-as-you-earn, so they were charged interest and penalties. And that was our second bite. And that was in 2020-21, where we raised another material irregularity, where we said, accounting officer, you are incurring losses because you are not putting in place the processes that are legislated upon you to put in this municipality. And therefore, this is the material, we are notifying you with a material irregularity. The accounting officer responded, and that is going to also touch on that financial recovery plan, because I think that is at the core of the survival of this municipality. We are assessing the response there on that second bite. So the answer in the long short of it, Chairperson, is we will continue to bite when there is an indication that there's a material irregularity that is causing or likely to cause a financial loss or harm or misuse of state resources or state assets, or harm to the municipality itself, or harm to the general public of Lekwa, we will continue. The one other part that I also want to highlight, Chair, is that unlike the audit process, the material irregularity process, or the powers that we have been given, they don't have a time frame that, for instance, for municipalities, we must audit and report by end of November. That power does not stop. It continues. So we continue to assess all these findings that we pick up during our audit, even post-audit, to evaluate and see what is there a material irregularity, is there an impact? And therefore, we issue the accounting officer with a notification. I think the second and last question was, what do we mean when we say there's insufficient evidence? Does that mean this municipality is dodgy? The danger with not having supporting evidence, and it touches to that disclaimer, is you cannot make a conclusion, unfortunately, as an auditor. But when there is a transaction and there's supporting information that is submitted to support that transaction, at least then an auditor can evaluate and make a conclusion whether there's some dodginess or alleged dodginess that has happened here or not. So in this case, when we say, honorable members, it was insufficient, it's because we didn't have information to conclude on. At least now, which is what Douglas, when he was presenting, what he was commending the municipality, at least now we have some information that can be submitted to the auditors and that the auditors can look at, and then the auditor will make a conclusion, which is a move from not having information at all about the transactions that happened during the year. I think those were the two questions, Honorable Chairperson, that were posed on us. Thank you.
The next one is SALGA.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings, all protocol observed. I think for us, there were about 3 issues that were raised. The first one was, I think it was Honorable Mkalipi. She mentioned that the plan is not detailed enough. We apologize for that. We just summarized it, but there is a detailed. But on that specific activity where you asked about the green drop, basically we supported them, their requirements in order for you to meet the green drop status. So the support was actually on that, to say, this is what you need to correct, this is what you need to do to avoid to ABC. Then the second one, I think it was also from you, what does SALGA do to ensure that consequence management is implemented? Well, for us is to advise, to train, give support as much as we can, but ultimately the ball, rests with the council, the executive authority. It's them who must make sure that it's implemented. For us is to give them all the support they need in training. Then the other one was the issue of impacts on high, regular, wasteful, unauthorized expenditure. We have conducted trainings on impacts and portfolio committees. What we are currently doing now is an assessment. There is a training which will be held by the end of this month, where we'll now try to find the challenges, why they can't investigate, yet they've been trained. So I think that's all, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
The next is the district municipality.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the first question was, do we have a clear plan with respect to sewer spillages against the population growth. Chair, the projects that were presented by the municipal manager covers 6 phases, and that is a plan implemented in phase approach. And that is an intervention by DWS. If you were to look at the slide presentation, each phase has a commencement date and an ending date. To cite one as an example, the internal sewer reticulation at Rooikoppen commenced in 2020 and is currently, its physical progress is at 98%, and the actual anticipated completion date is end October 2022. We have undertaken site visit on a number of occasions, and they are on course. Actually, they are almost complete. But what we are addressing at Rooikoppen, Chair, it was the work of Department of Human Settlement, which was not properly done when they constructed houses there, when establishing the township. The lines are disjointed, everything, it was a mess. As a result, DWS, as part of its intervention, had to start afresh altogether. Hence, it took long. At Extension 8 is same as in Rooikoppen. Both ourselves and DWS were again addressing what Department of Human Settlement could have done better. Indeed, at Extension 8, the project is practically completed. What we have is outstanding, because it was a bulk pipeline, sewer bulk pipeline, which was not shared by the Department of Human Settlement in terms of the drawings, is the internal reticulation connection into the main bulk. Hence, part of the 18 projects that DWS has committed to implement, that project is to be funded as part of the 18 project. Chair, you must have noticed with our presentations, there were pictures depicting the before, how the situation was, the during, and the now. So just to bear testimony as to the progress. Indeed, district municipalities in the main, we are not water service authority, Chair, but DWS is contemplating to afford us such status due to inability of majority of our local municipalities being unable to supply water on a sustainable basis. Reason why, as a district of Sibande, we were appointed as an implementing agent. And there's a criteria set up by National Treasury and DWS. Amongst the criteria is that, and which is a record that is self-explanatory with Sibande. One, financial management. If you were to go through the history of Sibande district municipality with respect to UIFW, you are unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, wasteful expenditure. For the past 7-8 years, we have not incurred any. There's zero. Literally zero. So that on its own, it's a motivation for National Treasury and DWS to could appoint us. Our financial strength as a district, not that we are breaking, but we have a cash backed in our reserve of about 260 to 300 million rand in reserve for an eventuality when National Treasury took long to transfer. We were able to, on our own, could make payments to any service provider or third party or our employees. So that on its own is a motivation. The political governance. We are one of the stable district municipality for quite some time. Even at administration, we are stable, Chair. We had an engagement in the past 2 weeks with the Minister of Water and Sanitation. They even committed us as a actually requested us as a district to say, can you on our behalf initiate a supply chain management process for the 18 projects that we will be implementing whilst we are awaiting the medium-term expenditure framework now in June, now in October, for confirmation of funding, so that by the time it is confirmed, at least you get on site because of your strength in terms of your financial reserves. So we have agreed to could do that, but that it's on a risk basis because we are not going to issue appointments up until transfers is confirmed, Chair. Chair, the last point or motivating a factor, the President of the Republic introduced what is called in 2019 a district development model, that all the 3 tiers of governance will have to work together. So we are part of the Republic of South Africa's governance, and we have to give support where necessary. So as a result, we were appointed, and we are working nicely with my executive mayor here. There's a good working relationship, like I've alluded to in my welcoming remarks. In closing, Chair, though it was not a question, but I saw it as part of the recommendation to my fellow colleague EM to say, for now, I will not advise them to apply for a Schedule 5B in terms of this DWS. Yes, they may have a complete administration, but their financial state is not convincing as for now. We have one municipality, which I'm not going to mention, where that was done. Instead of utilizing the fund for what it is meant for, they misappropriated it. National Treasury ended up taking it from their equitable share, and they are in trouble as we are talking today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Then the local municipality now.
With your permission, Chairperson, can I address the meeting sitting? I've got notes that I've prepared.
I am also doing that, so you are allowed.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, let me take this opportunity and thank you for affording me an opportunity to address the Portfolio Committee and also to greet the honorable members of the committee that are here, the honorable mayor that is sitting next to me, all councillors and officials that are here. Chairperson, there are so many questions that were directed to the municipality that I will try and respond to. But Chairperson, perhaps before I start doing that, let me put it outright that it is unfair to blame this administration for the 3 disclaimers. Because the first disclaimer that was acquired by this municipality was in 2018, 2019, this administration was not there. The second one was in 2019, 2020, this administration was not there. The third one was 2020, 2021, which it's just a few months before this administration came in. Honorable Chairperson, the Auditor General's report indicated most important part, the last slide that was presented by the Auditor General. Let me read it so that members of the committee can try and refresh. It says, observations in the current year. Some improvement in the annual financial statement submitted for audit have been noted as the underlying records agreed with the AFS figures. There has been some effort made by management in addressing the prior period's misstatements that have led into a disclaimer audit opinion. These are some of the statements that were given by the Auditor General's report, which Chairperson refers to this administration, what this administration has done to ensure that we improve the audit opinion. Chairperson, the other issue that I need to clarify, the areas that the honorable member referred to that have been without water, it's not since 1994, it's since 2009. That is extension 2, Palama, Crossroad, and part of Ward 5. That has been without water. Now these areas, Chairperson, had water. The infrastructure is there, the pipes are there, water taps are there, geysers are also there. What happened, Chairperson, which I think has been correctly publicized even in the past, is that there are scrupulous officials and scrupulous councillors that went to remove valves that were meant to supply these people with water. And when those valves were removed, some of them were even covered with concrete. It therefore made it impossible for these communities to continue to receive water without any problem, which is what, Chairperson, we are currently doing. What we have started as the technical department a few weeks ago, we are trying to uncover some of these valves that were covered by concrete, so that these valves can be removed, can be opened, and that water to these communities can start. We also have a meeting, a technical meeting tomorrow, which will specifically look at how do we ensure that while we are trying to uncover these valves, how do we ensure that the people in Crossroad, in Palama, in Extension 2 can have water. That meeting is sitting tomorrow, and I believe that after that meeting, we will know precisely what is it that needs to be done. But other suggestions that has come up is to bring about a new line that will supply water to these areas while we are trying to deal with the issue of valves that were closed. And the reason, Chairperson, these valves were closed, it was so that contractors could be appointed to supply water tankers. And water tankers were acquired by this municipality in numbers where some officials were even benefiting from these water tankers. It's a known fact, it's there. Then, Chairperson, let me move on to other issues that were raised in this meeting. But I want to assure members of the Portfolio Committee that we are seriously looking at ensuring that Crossroad Palama Extension 2 can get water. Chairperson, I also want to say I welcome the oversight and the work that is done by the oversight committee. And Chairperson, it's very important, and I want to appeal that I wish it can continue. I wish it can happen in every financial year, because if it happens in this way, it means that municipalities will be able to have a look at themselves and see and attend to the shortcomings that they have in dealing with meeting the needs of the people. Because, Chairperson, if this was done previously, if this oversight and this monitoring was done previously, I don't think Lekwa Municipality would have been in a position that it finds itself in. Because, Chairperson, it's a known fact that this municipality has always approved budgets with deficit, and there's been nothing that was done to this municipality. If from earlier on, if from the onset, these committees and the National Parliament has put their foot down and said you will not approve a budget even with 100 rand deficit, I doubt that this municipality would have been where it is today. And, Chairperson, it's impossible to then expect that this administration will then wish away the 156 deficit that currently exists in this municipality, that we will then simply ignore that we have creditors amounting to 3 billion, because it's unavoidable for this municipality to have a cash-backed budget. The situation and the circumstances that this municipality finds itself in, it makes it impossible for us to approve a cash-backed budget. And these are arguments we've raised with the Provincial Treasury, we've raised them with the National Treasury, and even though it's also contained in the financial recovery plan, because part of the stipulations of the financial recovery plan is that we must approve a cash-backed budget. But if we are unable to do that, I think the previous presenter from National Treasury indicated that we must have we need to have a budget plan. It must be approved and it must be implemented. That is what we have done. The other provision that is there, that the National Treasury gave us in a circular, was that we must at least show our budget, while it is unavoidable to budget, to have a cash-backed budget, but it is important that at least we must show a reduction on the deficit. Hence, our first budget, which did not show a reduction in budget in deficit, was not approved. and we were advised to go back and redo our budget so that we can have a budget that has a deficit that is reducing, and which is what we have done. Over and above that, Chairperson, I also think that the oversight sessions like this one must also serve as a reflection to the National Assembly, because I believe that as the National Assembly, somehow we must also shoulder some responsibilities by allowing municipalities to continue to budget on deficit. Because should we have put our foot down as the National Assembly, as the Parliament of South Africa, I doubt that we would have had municipalities that find themselves in this situation. I don't even want to talk about what is happening in the country, where the country is also running on a deficit budget, and sometimes having to depend on borrowings outside the country just so that they can do operations. These are issues that we need to deal with, because we can't expect it to happen at local level and it doesn't happen at national level. It can't be correct for it to happen at national level, but it's not okay if it happens at local level. To show that it is wrong, let's correct it from national, province, district, and local, so that we can say this is the line of march, this is what we need to do as public representatives, as you correctly put it.
I wanted to assist you. You want to,
It's a point of order, Chair. We want to know what have you done. Constitution is clear. You have executive authority and legislation to govern on your own. You are telling us about things that have been covered by Congress and it's a known fact. What have you done? You have inherited a dysfunctional municipality. We've acknowledged that. Do you want us to go and call those who are no longer in charge to respond? You have a responsibility to govern. And do not compare national if you cannot fix issues. Your role and the duty, Chair.
Is that a point of order, Chair? Okay, thank you.
Chair, I'm saying
no,
the role
honorable
of the
member.
mayor is to respond to questions in relation to his function as a political head in the municipality.
No, that's a point of order.
Exactly.
It's sustained. We are here as Parliament, and we are asking questions on the basis of what we are supposed to do. Please respond to the questions that were raised, and factually so. Please, so that we don't change this. It's not a political rally. This is it's our work. There are questions that were directed to you. Please respond to them.
That is exactly what I'm doing, Chairperson. I'm responding. Chairperson, on the issue of the financial recovery plan. The financial recovery plan was adopted by this municipality, and we've taken responsibility of ensuring that the financial recovery plan is implemented. If I can just indicate on few issues that were raised in the financial recovery plan, because the financial recovery plan outlined certain problems that were identified in the municipality. One of them was the high vacancy rate on key positions. That, Chairperson, we have fixed. Currently, I think we are standing at almost 95% because all key positions have been filled, with the exception of the executive manager corporate, which will be filled before the end of this month. We are also going on with filling the other important vacancies in the management. The other one, Chairperson, is the payment of creditors. I think, Chairperson, the Honorable Deputy Minister alluded to the fact that previously we were paying ISCOM something like 500,000 and sometimes nothing at all. I am happy to announce, Chairperson, that we are paying ISCOM every month. It might not be the current amount, but we are ensuring that we pay ISCOM every month. The last payment that we made to ISCOM was 22 million. Chairperson, I must also indicate that one of the question was whether do we have a repayment plan with ISCOM? We've tried as a municipality to try and draw ISCOM to come up with a repayment plan. But I must indicate, Chairperson, this is my personal observation, that ISCOM has been very reluctant to have a repayment plan because currently ISCOM benefits as a result of a court order that compels 3 biggest electricity users to pay directly to ISCOM. The second aspect that ISCOM benefits from is that they take at least 15% of the equitable share in every financial year. So I therefore believe that ISCOM has been very reluctant, in fact very arrogant, in coming down and drawing up a repayment plan with the municipality because the current arrangement of the court orders suit them better and give them the guarantees that they believe the municipality cannot give them. Chairperson, I must also indicate that when this, as part of the financial recovery plan, when we took over, I think we owed SARS something like 94 million. And currently our debt to SARS stands at 23 million. We are expecting a refund from SARS of almost 28 million, but that will be finalized in due course. Chairperson, we are also dealing with our water affairs debt, which currently stands at 1.6 billion. But we have a dispute of about 600 million that we believe should not be part of this debt. Discussions are at an advanced stage. Chairperson, part of the recovery plan was to ensure that we deal with the highly politicized workforce. This was identified by the financial recovery plan. What we have done, Chairperson, as a municipality, the physical verification of employees has started through the Department of Corporate Services. We've also taken a decision as a municipality to have the skills audit done. But Chairperson, I must indicate that we are not getting very good results on this one because the resolution of the council was to request Coghsta. In fact, Coghsta availed themselves in the province that they will assist the municipality with skills audit. We've written numerous letters asking them to assist us with skills audit, but that has not been done. The item will be going back to council to see whether can we appoint a private service provider because it is important that we do this skills audit so that we can deal with the issue of the workforce. Chairperson, on the issue of the plan in dealing with water, I think the slide by the Gert Sibande district municipality and the presentation that was done by Ubab Habile, together with the Department of Water Affairs, of Water and Sanitation, and Gert Sibande district municipality, we've identified issues that show challenges in as far as as sewer spillages, water provision. And therefore, the intervention that is going to be done by the Department of Water and Sanitation through the Gert Sibande district municipality will be to ensure that, one, we upgrade our water treatment plant. Currently, the size of our water treatment plant is very, very small and it cannot meet the demand. Therefore, it becomes important that we upgrade the water treatment plant because currently, what is happening is that once we purify water, it then gets to the system and goes to households. It does not go to reservoirs because of the capacity of the water treatment plant. But with this intervention, that is going to be addressed. The other problem is what my Honorable Executive Mayor spoke about on the issue of sewer in areas like Extension 8 and Rooikoppen. He has touched on the Rooikoppen problem because of the size of the pipes in some instances. And in some instances, the gradient was not followed. Instead of the sewer going down, it goes up, and at the end, it overflows. But that has been addressed by the project that Gert Sibande has started to do in 2020. The other one, Chairperson, in Extension 8, this is an area which together with the Executive Mayor, we said it must serve as an example of how not to do projects. Because Extension 8, it's a problematic area, because this is an area where houses were built without the infrastructure. So the infrastructure only came in after the houses were built, and that was not good. It has created problems. The project that the Gert Sibande District Municipality presented on Extension 8 dealt with backwater. But part of the intervention is to deal with the reticulation in Extension 8. But Chairperson, the other part of intervention that the Department of Water and Sanitation is going to do is to upgrade the wastewater treatment works, because currently, I think it is 9.2 megaliters, which is very, very small compared to what we receive. Hence, we had problems in the past of sewer spilling into the river. And in some instances, trenches were deliberately dug to ensure that sewer spill into the Fall River. But as Mr. Habile, the MM, has indicated, that is being addressed, but part of the intervention will be to ensure that we upgrade the wastewater treatment works so that we are able to cope with the flow that will come from Extension 8 and Roykopen, because currently, in its current form, that wastewater treatment plant will not be able to handle the flow of sewer that will come from Roykopen and Extension 8. Chairperson, the other issues that were raised, I'm just trying to check. On the issue of the RDPs, it's also true what was alluded to by the honorable member, the problem with RDPs, that in Extension 8, for an example, you have houses that are occupied by people that are not beneficiaries. You have houses that were sold where owners are not able to occupy those houses because houses were illegally sold to some people who are occupying the houses. We are currently having a report from the Department of Planning and Economic Development, and we've been lobbying the MEC of Human Settlement. The MEC of Human Settlement was supposed to come to Lekwa today so that we can go to Extension 8 and deal with the problem of Extension 8. But because of this visit, we then requested him to come on Friday. He has not yet responded, but that matter has been escalated to the Department of Human Settlement. Chairperson, on the issue of the billing system, the municipal manager has indicated that we are going to do a evaluation role which will clearly identify who our debtors are, what services they use, because the other problem that was identified by the financial recovery plan in as far as billing was that wrong people are billed for services they did not use, and the municipality was using estimates continuously and without any solution. Now, to address that, Chairperson, we are going to do evaluation role, and we are also going to ensure that meter reading, I think as from the beginning of December, we will be taking readings throughout the households, because currently out of almost 22,000 meters, the municipality only takes reading in 1,600 households, and the rest of the meters are not taken, which therefore makes it impossible to also bill those people. But as part of the intervention that is done by DPSA and Vodacom, we have started with replacing water meters and electricity meters. To deal with distribution losses, we've invited members of the public to come forward, those who have faulty meters, so that we can replace them. Currently, the number of community members that came forward stands at something like 1,600 of faulty meters that must be replaced. So these meters are currently being replaced. It is at a slow pace, but we hope the number will grow in a few months. That therefore, Chairperson, I believe will assist us in ensuring that we are able to take readings of all the meters that the municipality has, and ensure that we are able to bill all the households and all the consumers for what they have used. Chairperson, the other one that was not done by the municipality was no longer sending statements and accounts to households. This will also be done, Chairperson, in the beginning of December. Chairperson, I think I've touched on many issues that I believe were issues that were raised to us as a municipality. If there's any that have left, the municipal manager will touch on them. I repeat, Chairperson, I want to thank you for this opportunity, because all these presentations are giving us a mirror of what this municipality is and has been, and what needs to be done to change that. Thank you very much.
I will not allow the municipal manager because of time. Not necessarily because I don't want to hear him. Because of time. Honorable members, we were supposed, I can see the hands, we were supposed to visit projects from here, the projects that were talked about here. So before we can have a sense, a complete sense of what we are doing, there is need for us to touch those projects. Otherwise, I wanted to say before, if you force me to follow up, I will not have any other option. But I wanted to indicate that there's intervention here. Even draw the attention of the mayor to that. That intervention is national intervention. Both the Minister of Coghsta and the Minister of Treasury, their teams are here. So the first people we ask questions from are those ministers. Before we come here, I think I did indicate when we were starting the meeting to say some of the questions we have raised with the ministers, we have come to verify. So hence one would not want us to create a situation where when we ask you, you say, why did you not ask Godongwa? Because if we will ask him out of this session, we will go to Parliament, present a report, we'll debate it as members, different members, and come up with resolutions, recommendations of Parliament. We are an extension of Parliament as the Portfolio Committee. So hence I wouldn't want honorable members to, let's help them understand when we ask questions, we not necessarily saying, because this is how you have responded, we'll discuss as a committee, make recommendations to Parliament, and it will get to any minister who might be affected in terms of this. But I just wanted to make those comments saying I may not say don't follow up, but take into account that we still have to get into some project. Honorable Mpums, I can see you insist, and Honorable Hadebe, and Honorable Brink. I must allow who?
She is out of order. Chair, you have not recognized her yet. She is out of order.
No, he might be helping me. I didn't.
Yeah, I wanted to help, Chair.
Yes.
That some of the outstanding questions, as you indicated that the month was coming, I think those questions, they relate to irregular expenditure, wasteful expenditure. Then the MM would respond to those questions in writing. And even this question I'm going to raise now, it would be in writing, would not respond now. Chair, in this report, what is glaring is that it's indicating a lack of record management. That's what the Auditor General is saying. That's why they say they could not assess this municipality because there was nothing, no paper trail. Now the question is this, because record keeping is the basic requirement of administration. Now, the point I want to know from the Auditor General and the MM, is this lack of record keeping an innocent matter of ignorance or a deliberate underhand? Thank you.
No, thanks, Chair. I think here what we want, Chair, is to effect consequence management. There must be consequence for wrongdoing. We were very clear and specific that in terms of Section 32 of FMMA, what is it that we have done? We want the detailed written response of names of people responsible for the current state of the municipality, action taken, and if there are any criminal matters to be referred to SEPs, you indicate as such. That's what we want to do, so that we go to Parliament and recommend accordingly. We're not here to play politics and score cheap political points. We understand that we are public representatives. We are speaking on behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves. And when there is money meant for the people and that was spent otherwise, there must be action for such. And we want that action to come from the political leadership and the administration. Can I propose, Chair, that we need that report within 14 days? Thank you.
Honorable Craig. He doesn't want to give it to you.
Yeah, trying to keep me away. Thanks very much, Chair. I think we must just give the executive mayor the assurance that we're not here to challenge his authority, and it's quite understandable that he's a newly elected mayor and democracy must be given the chance to do its work, and you will have the support of everybody who wants positive change. And when the committee makes certain recommendations and certain points, it is not to poke holes at the administration that's in power here, but to assist. And so let me just make the point again, Chairperson. I'll be very brief as possible. At national level, government does not have an unfunded budget. So I think the difference between national government and Lekwa is that national government can go to the bond market, it can borrow money. Lekwa can't. Lekwa is not credit worthy. And so the importance of having a funded budget is not an academic exercise, and it's not as simple as saying because there's a deficit at national level, we can run it at local level. So it is very important, and maybe there was an acknowledgement from you, Mr. Mayor, that as you prepare for the next year's budget, that you make it your aim to make it a funded budget. And that does not mean that, that your municipality is going to grind to a halt. It's just going to be easier to manage the expectations, because there's no use in having projects and operations on your budget that you don't have the money to complete. And that if you start with them, they consume a whole lot of energy and time at the expense of the essential things. So perhaps use that recovery plan to the best of your advantage, to look at personnel costs, to look at how you manage your creditors and so on. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be quick. Just a warning, there's a lot of councillors here today as well. In terms of the code of conduct, you may not vote against legislation. We're clear on that. To support an unfunded budget is vote against national legislation. So this is just a warning.
I think all these comments were trying to summarize how we should end this meeting. And there are certain issues as people who make laws we may not compromise on. So we can't negotiate it here. It just must be done. And I'm sure the Office of the Auditor General will take exception. They are actually enabling us to make sure that there's accountability, there's good governance, and there's everything that we have said. So there are specific things that may not be negotiated here. I think I cited two. One of them is this thing of, what do you call this? Material irregularities. So the fact that it is historical, it doesn't take away that responsibility to deal with it. So in other words, the team here from Treasury, from Coghsta, from everybody else must assist the municipality, guide them as to how they should go about dealing with that, taking into account the question of history. Yes, they might be new in terms of how many months, but they are government now. So one would say that should not be negotiated. If we can get a picture as he is asking, something that would begin to say, maybe in your financial recovery plan, this thing is covered. Let there be an extract that should come to the portfolio committee to indicate that something is being done about it. Otherwise, would have failed. In essence, we are looking, maybe when you look at us, you also see thieves. We are looking for those thieves. So anybody who has got information, but let it be processed, like I'm saying, the way it must be processed. The fact that you are new doesn't take away that responsibility. So that's what we are looking for. One would suggest let's do that. But specifically, I have already indicated that the national team and the provincial teams that are here, the first people who would be asking questions from is yourselves. We have said this 139 subsection 7 is being implemented in 3 municipalities for the first time in the country. So we are equally learning lessons out of what we are doing. But lessons with the intention to improve. If we fail on section 139, subsection 7, I don't know now what other intervention will have to come. On behalf of the people, we are not doing this thing because it's nice to be here. By the way, we are not friends. We are public representatives. And equally so, if government has decided to turn the corner and say we will not tolerate any wrongdoing, we are actually trying to mobilize everybody to say the same. I was equally impressed with the mayor, because we want that tone of leadership to say this is the direction we are taking. So that actually is what we want to see. This is what we want to hear. We don't want to hear anything that would distract us from what we are supposed to do. But like I'm saying, I think all the members have said everything. We must now go visit the advised members. We're supposed to go to 3 different projects. We can only now go to one, which is called Roy Koppen project. MISA, what is it? Oh, it's MISA who is proposing that. Somebody left a question for MISA, and MISA did not respond to that question. is very critical when we talk about infrastructure, the issue of water and sewerage. And I'm not saying they must respond now. They must accompany us to this project. As we are going there, they will be briefing us as to what is happening. Otherwise, Honorable Mayor, executive mayors, members, officials from the three spheres of government, it was a good session. And we don't want to have many sessions. We want action. And we are not really executing as members of parliament. Those who are executing with the support staff, they must do what is expected. If you ask me who expect us to do this, it's the people that will meet tomorrow. Maybe the language will not be like we are doing now here when we meet the people. But all the time, that's what we want to work on. So we plead with MISA, accompany us to that project. And those will be here tomorrow. And when I say those, we're not necessarily providing responses as members of parliament. We ask questions. But obviously, those are our principals. We would allow them to ask any question. There would be no irrelevant question. And we therefore expect generally each institution to have people who might help to respond to some of the issues they would raise. But at the end of the day, like I've indicated, our process is from here, we'll go to Parliament, discuss and come up with recommendations that will be put in the table of every executive to say this one belongs to you, we expect action, we expect feedback. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.